Hey there, Stephan Hawkes here at my very own Hawkes studio. Today I just kind of wanted to show off some things that the new Strymon Cloudburst Ambient Reverb can do. I've been a big Strymon guy for a long time. I've been using their guitar pedals for tons of crazy production stuff for 15, 20 years. I think even back when they were called Damage Control, I did a few records with them, but I, love all my Strymon stuff, and the fact that it was always extremely well made digital makes me excited to have it in a plugin, because they know how to make stuff sound good, and now I can more easily access it in the studio environment. So just kind of a quick overview of the Cloudburst Ambient Reverb. It's extremely flexible. Obviously here you have your pre-delay that just delays the sound so that you can kind of create size and space depending on the effect that you're trying to create. The tone knob makes it go from dark to bright. I find this to be extremely important on this plugin. Very intuitive, very easy to dial in. I like it on all settings, so they did a really nice job with the sweep on that. The mod knob here introduces modulation and kind of nonlinear artifacts that can make things sound a little more spacey and dreamy. You've got the decay, which obviously puts how long the reverb's going to go for. This mix knob, which is great. Obviously every reverb should have a mix knob, but they've got this quick thing here where you can kill the dry just to hear what you're really doing without having to mess with your mix knob. I really like that feature. Also, it's got this lock button on the mix knob so that if you're switching between presets, you can keep the mix where it is and load the rest of the preset. That's super smart. I wish every plugin had these kind of features. Really enjoy that for a lot of reasons. The infinite hold and freeze are really nice. If you want to automate production and just have some really big hits go on or have a vocal note go out, it's really easy. You can just do it within the reverb and you can automate it that way. So it's really fun to kind of mess with and play with in real time, which I'll probably do here in a minute. And then you have this, this ensemble feature, which is kind of the unique thing. When you turn it up, it adds these other kind of octaves and harmonic qualities to it, which you'd think would only be useful for kind of spacey effects, but I actually find even using it on a snare drum or something like that, you can get away with a lot of it, and it you don't hear it like pitch bending artifacts. It just kind of fills things out and makes things sound rich and harmonic. So I'm going to start out here with just kind of a more traditional normal setting, long snare drum setting. And again, I think of this thing more for vocal effects or for using with synths or guitar effects if you're doing kind of ambient or shoegaze music. But the reality is it's not limited to that. It works just as a traditional quality reverb. It sits in the stereo field perfectly, blends against the music. It's there when you want to hear it, but it doesn't take over or eat up a lot of space, which is a big deal to me in a reverb. I'm kind of picky about that stuff. So yeah, here it is on a snare drum, kind of a stadium rock drum part. Here it is blended on the snare drum on an aux, fully wet. And then I'll take it out and you can hear just how much it's doing and how smoothly that it's doing it. And you can hear that tail. I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful snare reverb. I can solo that real quick. So yeah, so I basically have it, like I said, kind of timed to the song to decay. This is kind of a mid-tempo song, so I have it timed for that, and it's awesome. So obviously I could do different things with it. I could brighten it. I play around with the tone knob here so you can hear just how effective it is. Yeah, so I mean, that sounds great. If you want it darker, sometimes you have to turn up the volume, as I had to do here. But either way, a big fat reverb, a nice crisp bright reverb. I usually find somewhere noon, 1 o'clock is kind of the more in a neutral setting, which is great. That's what it's supposed to be. Here was the thing that surprised me, You know, obviously the ensemble feature you think of more for creating cool guitar effects or a cool futuristic vocal effect, but on snare drum, it's actually pretty rad. So I'm going to start turning it up and on so you can hear it in the mix, and then I'll solo it. Now, if you solo that, you're going to hear the ensemble doing a lot of the pitch stuff that it does. But it's really cool, and honestly, I have it up pretty high, and it actually really sounds great with the rest of the drums. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. The other thing that's really fun to do, like I kind of hinted at, was just to create some on-the-fly, you know, long snare hits on every other snare, so that's really fun to do. So, you know, obviously that's just kind of me being able to do it, you know, on the fly, but obviously that's in the automation setting. So it just kind of gives you a really quick way to automate. If you're using this on your snare already and you just want to extend snares, you just automate the hold button on and off. Super easy to do. So yeah, this thing sounds great on snare drum. I don't think that's necessarily the main thing that people think of when they think of, you know, Strymon reverbs, but this is as good sounding of a snare reverb as I've heard. So I could definitely try it on some other things, but even if this is all I ever used it on, extremely valuable for making just some big epic snare drum reverbs. Really impressed. All right, so now I wanted to show off some of the cool vocal effects you can do with the Strymon Cloudburst Ambient Reverb. I've got it loaded up directly on a couple vocal tracks for the Idola song Blood in the Water. In the second verse here. So here it is with the reverb right on the tracks, blended using the mix knob. I've got the mod way up, pre-delay dialed into taste. I'm not using any of the ensemble yet. So here it is, just kind of tastefully put directly on a vocal track. I'll play it with and without. So here's with.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired.
Here it is without, just dry.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired.
So obviously, the thing I like about it, you can really put this right on the track. I know you can do that with any plugins, but sometimes I feel like even with mix knobs on things, you kind of lose the size and immediacy of a lead vocal by putting stuff directly on the track. Not that I don't ever do it, but a lot of times I'm more comfortable blending it in on an aux. With this, I don't hesitate at all. It's just easy to find. It doesn't shrink the vocal. It makes the vocal sound bigger. I find this to be a hallmark of a lot of higher-end reverb plugins, and definitely the way that the Cloudburst works. So now I'm going to mess around. I'm going to run this, run this same loop here of vocals, and I'm gonna start messing around with the ensemble. This record has a lot of crazy vocal effects. I did not have this plugin when I made this record. I wish that I had, because a lot of this Shimmer, stuff that it does is really cool. So I'm just going to kind of mess around with it and run this vocal on a loop here.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookies eating on those that you admired. You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookies eating on those that you admired.
So obviously that's kind of extreme, but if I turn up the ensemble, I get the shimmer. You turn down the decay, and then you dial in the mix, and you just kind of get this cool high voice that doesn't sound, doesn't sound that crazy, really.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired.
It just kind of sounds futuristic. I mean, here's without it again.
You sit up on your throne.
Obviously that's, a vocal, but this is really futuristic and cool.
You sit up on your throne, Pretend that you ain't tired.
And then if you kill the dry, you can hear what the actual, just the sound of the verb is.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired.
And you can mess with the tone.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookie teeth and all those that you admired. You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookie teeth and...
Yeah, I mean, this thing is just fun. It's easy to use. I'll put it back to the actual, a blend in the mix.
You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookie teeth and all those that you admired. You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookie teeth and all those that you admired. You sit up on your throne, pretend that you ain't tired of hungry cookie teeth and all those that you admired.
Yeah, I mean, I could just do this all day. Obviously, it does crazy long stuff. I have the mod all the way up, and it just sounds nice. It's not overwhelming or doing some kind of seasick thing that some mod knobs do where they make it it's just so drastic that you never want to use it, and then subtle, it doesn't sound good. This sounds great on any setting. Everything works. I'm going to be using this for vocal production. I mean, I would have used it on this album if I'd had it, and I do a lot of albums where there's some crazy vocal effects. And of course, you saw me messing with the hold and the infinite and the freeze. That's just really fun, and that's a huge thing, you do in vocal production is automate these cool moments. With this, it'll be a lot easier. It seems like it just organically ramps up instead of having to draw that automation in or have a separate plugin for it and then send it to something. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about this. Again, just the fidelity of it's great. I'm always a big fan of everything Strymon, and the fact that they were able to port this stuff to plugins and allow you to use it. It's great. All right, so I have the Cloudburst Ambient Reverb by Strymon loaded up onto some beautiful clean guitars from the Idola song Blood in the Water. This already has, echo on it, certain effects on it, and I was able to add this to it just to make it sound even cooler. So I've got the Ensemble cranked, and again, I can use a plethora of settings with this thing and make this guitar sound cooler. So I'll play it with and without, and then I'll start kind of messing around with it so you can hear what it can do. But it's immediately just intuitive and pleasing. So here it is with, on a pretty extreme setting with the Ensemble all the way up. And here it is without. So obviously it had a cool sound before, but I'm just able to do really cool stuff with this. I love a shimmer effect on guitar, so I love adding this ensemble to this. I probably would have done this. I might have done this with this if I'd had it at the time. So I'm going to mess around now, turn up the mod, mess with the tone, do some longer decays, and I'm just going to have a little fun with it and maybe do some holds in real time. So you can see what this thing can really do. But it's super creative, super intuitive, really easy to use. Everything functions great, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So here I'm going to mess around. Yeah, so you can just hear how easy that is to manipulate and dial in. I can hit the hold button on the fly. The guitars sound cool and spacey. Yeah, I'm going to be using this thing a ton. Strymon Cloudburst Ambient Reverb plugin. I can't say enough good things about it. Hopefully they put every single one of their pedals into a plugin as soon as possible, because I know a lot of people use those in productions, and I know I have, and I wish they were just right at my fingertips. So, hey, Strymon, if you're listening, great work on this. Get working on the whole catalog, because every single one of them is something I would use regularly. The stuff's just awesome.